Something in your family line has been waiting to surface, and I need you to stop for a moment and hear this carefully. Archangel Michael brings a message that is not meant to make you afraid, but to make you ready. There has been a hidden pressure over your family, a strange heaviness that made certain prayers feel delayed, certain conversations feel impossible, and certain doors seem sealed shut no matter how hard you knocked. But there is something else you need to know. Heaven has not been silent, and what looked like a delay was not the end of the story. It was a season of concealment, alignment, and protection. The unseen was moving while the visible stayed still. Do not skip this message, because what is about to be revealed may explain years of confusion in a single moment. Comment Amen if you know God has been working even in the waiting. There are family patterns that have tried to name your future before God did. Misunderstandings that kept repeating. Old wounds that never fully healed. Promises that seemed to pass from one year to the next without landing in your hands. And yet, behind every unanswered question, there was a divine record being kept. Heaven saw the tears that fell after everyone else went to sleep. Heaven heard the prayers spoken in whispers, the ones you were too tired to say out loud. Heaven marked every betrayal, every disappointment, every closed door that was supposed to break you but did not. That is why this message has reached you now. Because the delay has a reason, and the reason is no longer hidden in the same way. A shift has already begun. Keep reading carefully, because the next revelation changes everything. Type 1. Believe if you know your story is not over. What if the very thing you thought was holding your family back was actually being held back by God until the right time? What if the delay was a shield? What if what felt like silence was really divine restraint, stopping something from arriving too early and damaging what was not ready? There are moments when heaven refuses to release a blessing into an atmosphere that cannot yet carry it. That does not mean the blessing is lost. It means it is protected. Some of your pain came from watching others move ahead while your own path stayed hidden, and you began wondering whether your prayers were reaching beyond the ceiling. But they were. In fact, your prayers were being collected like seeds in a harvest sack, and the field was being prepared in secret. The river has been gathering behind the barrier, and when it breaks through, it will not trickle. It will move with force. Something unexpected is approaching, and it is tied to your family in a way you do not yet fully understand. Type 777 if you believe heaven is arranging what people could not. There is a conversation happening behind the scenes that you have not heard, but heaven has. A name has been mentioned. A decision has already been considered. An old connection that seemed finished is closer to resurfacing than you think. Do not ignore this part, because the surface story is not the whole story. You may have assumed certain relationships were permanently broken, that a family issue had gone too far, or that a door which closed years ago could never open again. But Archangel Michael is showing that some closures were only temporary coverings over a deeper divine process. When the time was not right, the door remained shut. When the ground was unstable, the river stayed concealed. When pride, fear, or confusion would have turned a blessing into a burden, heaven delayed the release. This is why you felt stuck in cycles that made no sense. But that pattern is being interrupted now. Comment God is working if you sense movement beginning where there was only stillness before. I need you to stay with this, because the waiting has worn you down in ways few people could understand. You have smiled through frustration, carried disappointment in silence, and kept showing up even when your strength felt thin. There were nights when you wondered if you had misheard God, if the promise was real, if your family would ever experience peace, restoration, or clarity. And still, you did not let go completely. That matters. Heaven saw your endurance. Heaven recorded your faith in the middle of fatigue. There is a hidden blessing in the way you kept going when you had every reason to stop. But there is more happening than you realize. The very pressure that tried to drain your hope was also exposing what needed to be removed before the breakthrough could settle in. Some of the delay was not punishment. It was purification. The door was not only closed, it was being reinforced so the wrong thing could not enter before the right time. Type faith if you are ready for the season to turn. A lot of people around you only saw the absence. They did not see the preparation. They did not see the angels stationed over the lines of your family, guarding what was vulnerable. They did not see the invisible work of intercession rising like incense, carrying your name into places beyond human reach. And they certainly did not see the hidden enemy that kept trying to convince you that nothing would change. But the lie has reached its limit. The waiting season is not endless. The river that seemed trapped under stone is finding its way through. The gate that looked frozen is beginning to move. The harvest field that looked empty is ripening more quickly than anyone expected. Before long, evidence will begin to appear that tells you heaven has been working all along. This is not imagination. This is not wishful thinking. This is a real shift, and it is already unfolding in the unseen. Comment protected if you trust that God has covered what you could not control. Before we continue, I feel led to share something with you. Over the years, thousands of people have reached out asking for powerful prayers they could pray during difficult seasons of life. That's why I put together a collection of some of the most powerful faith-building prayers I know. These prayers have helped people find peace during anxiety, strength during hardship, and hope when they felt like giving up. The best part is that I decided to make it completely free. If you would like a copy, simply check the link in the description and I'll send it to you. Do not wait until another difficult season arrives. Take it now while it's available and keep it close for the days ahead. Now, there is something else you need to know. You may notice in the coming days that old conversations start resurfacing in unexpected ways. Someone may reach out who had grown distant. A family matter you thought was permanently buried may suddenly come back into the light. A forgotten opportunity may appear again, but this time with different timing and different favor attached to it. Do not rush to judge it by how it looked before. Timing changes outcomes. What was blocked then may be open now because the atmosphere has changed. This is why you must pay attention. The answer you prayed for may not arrive in the shape you expected, but it will arrive with a clarity that leaves no doubt that heaven was in it. And there is another truth being revealed. Not every delay was about the thing itself. Some delays were about your readiness to carry the weight of the answer. Type yes, Lord, if you are willing to receive what heaven has prepared. There are moments when the soul becomes tired of hoping. That kind of tiredness is not just physical. It is the exhaustion of waiting for something that has seemed just out of reach. If that is where you have been, then listen closely. You are not being forgotten, and you are not being passed over. The season has simply been standing at the edge of a threshold, and thresholds always feel like suspension before they feel like arrival. But the threshold is not the destination. It is the place where one chapter begins to loosen, and another begins to breathe. What happens next is important because the signs will not be loud at first. They will come quietly, like dawn touching the top of a mountain before the valley notices the light. That is how some of heaven's greatest shifts begin. Softly, secretly, then suddenly. If you can, stay until the end because the reason for the delay is becoming clearer, and it will strengthen your faith to know it. Comment ready if your spirit is expecting movement. There is a hidden mercy in the fact that not everything changed at once. I know that sounds strange when you are longing for acceleration, but hear me. If every door had opened before the right foundation was set, the blessing could have become confusing. If every relationship had been restored before truth was revealed, old pain might have returned under a new name. If every family pattern had broken without healing the roots, the same cycle could have worn a different face. Heaven is wiser than regret. That is why the process has included purification, exposure, and waiting. Yet this does not mean the delay will continue forever. It means the deeper work is nearly complete. A secret about your family is about to surface, and when it does, you may realize the silence was not empty at all. It was full of preparation. The scroll was not blank. It was sealed. And now the seal is loosening. Comment I receive if you are ready for truth to come with healing, not harm. You may not know who has been praying for you, but someone has. You may not know which unseen conversation changed the direction of a decision, but one did. You may not know which disappointment protected you from the wrong pathway, but it did. There is a divine weaving happening across your family line, and pieces that seemed disconnected are beginning to connect. A story you thought ended abruptly is being continued in a way only heaven could write. This is why the resistance has felt so personal. This is why the attacks have tried to target your confidence, your peace, and your expectation. The enemy understands that when a family is healed, legacy changes. When a family is restored, future generations breathe differently. When hidden truth surfaces, chains lose their authority. So yes, the pressure was real. But so is the coming freedom. Type 333. If you believe heaven is building something stronger than what was lost. The image I keep seeing is a river behind a dam, gathering force and silence until the wall can no longer hold. That is what this season has felt like for you. So much held back, so much contained, so much believed to be stuck forever. Yet rivers know how to find a path. Waters do not forget their way. Even when blocked, they keep pressing toward the opening. And in your life, the opening is coming at the appointed hour. The barrier was never permanent. It was part of the timing. Some of your strongest evidence is going to come through what happens when the pressure finally meets the prepared place. Do not miss this. What once resisted movement is about to become the very place where breakthrough proves itself. A conversation, a signature, a message, a restored trust, a long-awaited confirmation. These are not random details. They are part of the river finding its course. Comment blessed if you can feel the pressure changing. There is also a hidden obstacle that tried to keep you focused on the wrong conclusion. It wanted you to believe that because the situation stayed quiet, God had changed his mind. But that was a false reading of the season. Silence is not rejection. Delay is not denial. Closed access is not permanent loss. Sometimes heaven stays quiet because too much noise would alert what needs to remain hidden until the right moment. There were things being protected from premature exposure. There were hearts being guarded. There were outcomes being arranged. And there was a spiritual map being redrawn over your family line. This is why you have felt a strange tension in the air, as if one more step would change everything. It will. That step is nearer than it looks. So stay focused. Do not let fatigue interpret the moment for you. The moment is speaking, and it is saying that movement is beginning. Type 1. Trust God if you are choosing faith over the old fear. Many people watching this message have been carrying burdens they never talk about. If that sounds like you, I want to give you something special. I created a free prayer guide filled with powerful prayers for protection, breakthrough, peace, healing, and strength. Thousands of believers have already downloaded it and shared how much it encouraged them during difficult moments. There is absolutely no cost. I simply wanted to place this resource into the hands of people who need it most. If you feel led, go to the description and claim your free copy before continuing. One prayer prayed at the right moment can change more than you realize. Now listen carefully, because the next part of this message is important. Soon you may hear something that seems small but carries unusual weight. It might be a simple statement, a sudden apology, a name spoken in the conversation, or a detail that confirms what your spirit has sensed for weeks. Do not dismiss small beginnings. Heaven often wraps major turnarounds in ordinary packaging, so only the discerning can recognize them. What appears minor may be the first crack in a long-standing wall. What sounds casual may be the beginning of reconciliation. What seems accidental may be the exact key that unlocks a family matter that has remained sealed for years. And when that first crack appears, the rest may follow faster than you expect. This is why the coming days matter. The shift is not just emotional, it is structural. Something in the arrangement of your life is changing at the root. Comment "My time is coming" if you are expecting divine acceleration. I need to speak to the part of you that has grown cautious, because caution was born from disappointment and disappointment was born from hope. You hoped, then waited, then watched things not happen. You believed, then wondered, then protected your heart from another letdown. That cautiousness was understandable. But now heaven is asking you to make room again. Not for fantasy, for fulfillment. Not for vague optimism, for real movement. The family story is not locked in the version you were told by pain. There is more being written. There are pages you have not seen, and the next one carries evidence that prayers were heard far earlier than you realized. There are records in heaven that show your name, your tears, your persistence, and the exact hour when mercy began repositioning things for you. Do not let the past become the ceiling over your expectation. A new chapter is opening. Keep reading carefully, because the message is becoming more personal now. Type "chosen" if you know you are never random in God's eyes. There is a particular kind of miracle that comes after a long, quiet season. It does not just give you relief, it gives you recognition. It reveals why the waiting mattered. It shows you that what looked like lost time was actually a hidden corridor, leading you into a stronger place. That is part of what is happening now. In your family, a long-obscured truth is moving closer to the surface, and with it comes clarity that will answer questions you have carried for years. Some people around you may be surprised. Some may even be unsettled. But you are being prepared to stand steady when the revelation comes. Do not be afraid of the truth surfacing. The truth is not coming to destroy you. It is coming to free you, to rearrange what was distorted, and to make room for restoration that is cleaner than before. There is more happening than you realize, and heaven is already ahead of the moment you are worried about. Comment "still standing" if you survived what should have defeated you. The enemy's strategy has often been repetition. The same kind of disappointment, the same kind of delay, the same kind of feeling that you are close but not there yet. Repetition is meant to exhaust expectation. But what the enemy intended for weariness, God is turning into wisdom. You know now how to discern counterfeit hope from genuine timing. You know how to wait without surrendering your promise. You know that some seasons are not about speed, but about formation. That wisdom is part of your breakthrough. In the coming days, you will notice that your response to old pressure is changing. What once destabilized you will no longer have the same power. What once made you panic will no longer define your peace. This is because the foundation has shifted beneath your feet, and heaven is strengthening your inner ground before it reveals the outer change. That is why you feel the sense that something is about to happen. It is not anxiety alone. It is discernment. Type "faith" if you feel the difference. Archangel Michael's message is not only about revelation. It is about protection in the middle of revelation. When a secret surfaces, it can expose both the wound and the remedy. It can show where the fracture began and where healing must now enter. This is why you are being told to prepare yourself, not to brace in fear, but to stand in readiness. If the truth comes through a conversation, a document, a memory, or a sudden confirmation, your first instinct should not be panic. It should be prayer. Heaven has got ahead of the moment. The answer is already being aligned. The gate is already beginning to open. The hands that once seemed tied are being unbound, and the family story that once felt frozen is entering a season of movement. I know that is a lot to take in, but keep going because the most important part is still ahead. Comment "Yes, Lord" if you are ready to meet this season with peace, Here is what your heart needs to hear before the final shift. You were not wrong to expect more. You were not foolish to believe restoration could happen. You were not naive to hope that what was broken could be repaired. You were simply ahead of the visible evidence. Faith often sees before it can prove. And the very fact that you kept believing in the dark places is part of why this message has found you now. The family line is under divine attention. What was hidden is nearing exposure. What was delayed is nearing release. What was blocked is nearing movement. Before this season ends, there will be a confirmation that makes you look back and say, "So this is what heaven was doing all along." That confirmation may come through peace before it comes through proof. It may come through a sudden ease in a place that used to resist you. Do not overlook the quiet signs. They are announcing a bigger arrival. Type 1 receive if you are opening your heart to what heaven has kept for this hour. And now, as we near the end of this message, I want to speak with deep urgency to the place in you that is still afraid to hope too much. Do not let that fear speak louder than the promise. The night has been long, yes, but dawn does not ask permission to appear. It simply arrives, and when it does, it reveals what had been hidden by darkness without needing to force anything. That is what this transition feels like. A dawn over your family line, a breaking of the old static, a loosening of the sealed thing. A restoration that will not come by human effort alone. There is a gate opening. There is a decision changing. There is a family matter rising into view. And there is a mercy over it that you cannot manufacture. Only receive. The waiting is not your life sentence. It is ending. Your prayers have been recorded. Your tears have not been wasted. Your family is not forgotten. Something significant is approaching. And when it arrives, you will understand why heaven made you wait. Comment Amen if you are ready for the dawn. Before you leave, remember that my free prayer collection is waiting for you in the description below. Thousands of people have already downloaded it and used these prayers during seasons of anxiety, uncertainty, spiritual battles, and breakthrough. I made it completely free because I want every believer to have access to powerful prayers when they need them most. If this message encouraged you today, make sure you claim your free copy before you go. And if this message spoke to your heart, subscribe to the channel, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and leave your prayer request in the comments so this community can stand with you in faith. May God bless you, strengthen you, and guide every step ahead.